Sorry about that. My camera filled up again. I only have 2 chips and the small one I was using the second time. As I was saying before, I bought this for $1. All that's wrong with it is there's 3 capacitors here. You see that one there with my fingers on with a brown spot on it, that one's blown, and although I think that middle one probably is, but I'm not sure, that one and the other one is definitely, and there's one under this wiring down here too somewhere. I think it's over there, which also needs replacing. I could probably replace it for, it'd probably cost me about $5 in solder and the actual capacitors themselves. Probably take me half an hour to an hour depending on how much trouble they give me, and I could have a working power supply, which I think it's a 400 watt power supply, which is a pretty big one. It's brand new, it looks like it. It looks like it's probably just been put in a machine, in a computer, probably a year ago maybe. And the reason I can tell this fan has a little bit of dust on it, not much at all. The inside of the case is extremely clean. And the other thing is it's also got serial ATA, which it's obviously, yeah, it's serial ATA only came out, I can't remember, a few years ago. I'm not sure though. But that's why I can tell it's pretty new type of power supply, because they only started coming out a few years ago. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. I'm not completely sure. But yeah, it's also got huge ass capacitors over here. 400 and, you can't really see that. 470. I'll read it out. They're 470 microfarad, and I think they're 200 volt is what they're rated for. And they've also got these big as heat sinks in here, which might come in useful. You've got relays, you've got more capacitors everywhere. You've got a big as fan here, which these fans themselves are worth probably about $10 brand new. And this one, as you can see, it's pretty clean and wouldn't take much to hook it into something, and there's a fan, considering you brought it for $1 along with all the rest of this. It's got 2 plugs here, so this is sometimes for if you had a monitor that plugged into the power supply. Some computers do, so even some printers, stuff like that, computer components and stuff that go with the computer sometimes plug into your power supply. There's also a switch. My older one that I had that I've already installed in my system didn't have the switch. I had these too, but it didn't have the switch. But yeah, so I bought this for $1, so it's actually pretty good bargain for what I got from it. I just pulled all this apart so I can show you. Here the capacitors over here. So I've only got one capacitor here. It's a bit of a bigger one, I think, and then 2 in series, and then another little 2 in series. So I've got the these are the rectifiers here. There's 3 rectifiers. One, you can't really see it. It's a bit better. As the power comes out, I've got the positives going. Oh no, positives and negatives. I've got all the negatives ground to here, to the, let you see it in there, I think. You can see where it's it's screwed onto the framing, I think. I'm not sure. You might be able to see it. And then I've got all the positives wired together. I think that's, I can't quite remember how I did it. I basically had oh, that's right, I had the output positive go to the, all the negatives from the capacitors go straight to ground as well, straight to this metal plate. Just if you wanted to know that. All the positives, so if I have one rectifier, it'll Okay, where was I? My card got full again, would you believe it? So I need a better camera. Anyway, straight to it. I can't remember if I said that all the negatives from the capacitors and the output of the rectifiers got grounded straight to this metal case. I probably said it, I can't remember. Don't worry about these little wires here, I just chuck them in that hole because they go to that fan. But I'm not using that until probably about summer when it gets really hot. It's probably not necessary. But all the positives go to all the positives from the rectifiers go to their own capacitor, and then also when they go to their own capacitor they also go where they connect up, they also go to the positive for the battery and charge controller and everything else. The relays are in there, as you can see. Now don't get tricked into thinking like I did. Oh, here goes my card again. Okay, as I was trying to say before my memory card got full again, there's a horn relays, so don't get fooled that they only flick something on and off, because in fact they, unbeknown to my knowledge back then, they flicked something from one to another. So if you had no power running through the relays, turning them on, then the voltage going, the power going through them, the current, whatever you want to call it, will go straight to the battery. But as soon as the charge controller puts a current to the relays, it'll flick them over, causing them to go through those light bulbs, which I don't think I've showed you yet, to dump. And these relays are actually flicking over AC at the moment, because I wanted to use AC light bulbs on the outside for dump, so they're alright as long it's alright using flicking AC or DC, but you just can't power them to actually turn the relay on with AC. It has to be DC 12 volts, so just keep that in mind. The other thing is these rectifiers, you want good heat sinks. I've got heat sinks here. Also this container will probably act as a heat sink. You also have to use thermal paste, which I've got some in between this and the rectifier, and then between the case and the heat sink, so it should just transfer straight to the heat sink if it all goes to plan. One day I might have some use for these plugs here. I could plug something into them. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. All I have to do is solder whatever I'm going to plug into them, whatever power I want plugging into them, straight onto the terminals that are on it, which isn't hard. I'll give you a closer look on this charge controller. I actually gave you a close-up look on the first video I've made, so you should look at that. There's a little, just put this container lid down, a little microprocessor here. I think you can't really see it, my finger is there. I think that needs replacing, to be honest, because I've bent a few pins on it because it's having a few issues with some things. I keep having to pull it out. Be careful when you pull it out. Use pliers or something. Don't do what I do and pull it out with my fingers, and then if you're not careful it flings around and it stabs all the flaming terminals into your fingers, like real deep, as far as they can go in there. Actually, I'll pull it out to show you. They're pretty... Yeah, see, it just did it to me. Probably can't... Oh, I've actually damaged it a lot then. You probably can't see it that well. Yes, that was a rooster. Had to wring his neck sometime. You can't really see the things, but they're pretty long. You can sort of see an outline of them. Pretty long and they're pretty sharp. I think I have to replace it now. I have got two spares which I brought because I broke that one. Well, I bent some pins on it. I just haven't put them in yet. And that just slots into that socket there, which is soldered into the board. Has a few resistors. Has two I think that's a capacitor. I'm not sure. That green cap, I can't remember what that is. I think it's a capacitor. I'm not sure. A power voltage regulator, diodes, LEDs, some variable resistors, which are these things here. You turn them, and this is a high trim pot, so you turn this one to whatever voltage you want the controller to flick the relays on to dump, and then you turn this low trim pot to change to adjust the voltage to when it flicks back to battery. So it's pretty straightforward, but it'd be easier. You really have to have a voltage variable power supply to change the voltage, so you know it's easier. Like, I haven't got one, so it's going to make it really hard to sort of estimate to where I'm going to put it. You could get it more fine-tuned if you had a variable power supply. So yeah, it's just one of those things to think of to have. But I'm going to make another video on how to use a power supply, one that works, a computer power supply. You can get 12 volts. I think you can get 3.3 volts. You can get a whole heap of different voltages out of different wires. I think the main ones are 3.3 and 12 volts. I think don't rely on that, because I'm not totally sure about it. Yeah, that wire's a bit tight, but oh well. But yeah, the main things you have to do with these is make sure everything's wired up properly. I've got these wired in parallel, not in series, because I used to have them wired in series, and as I talked before, it just didn't seem to work. I might wire them in series again sometime, because I didn't have these capacitors, so that might actually help how much voltage is going through. I'm not sure. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, I'll show you once I put the motor back together on how it